You're listening to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, a podcast for those who are in and around the hospitality industry who love, live, and breathe what they do. You can join us for candid and unscripted conversations with hospitality experts and founders as we go deeper into their personal stories while they're sharing their triumphs and trials that got them to where they are today. I'm your host, Will Slickers, and you're listening to an episode of Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast. Now, let's begin. All right, everybody, welcome back to another quick and unexpected episode of Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, because our good friend, Dr. Jeffrey, who was on the podcast recently, has actually come up with another amazing industry press release for us to cover today. And I have invited him on the show to come tell us about their new hotel brand, St. Justine. And so, Dr. Jeffrey, one, welcome back, and it's great to see you. Two, let's dive in because I'm excited to hear about what you guys are doing and to see the powerhouses you have on your board for this new hotel brand. So let's jump in.
Well, you're very kind. I appreciate you inviting me back. It's always good to see you. I'm a big fan of your work and all that you're doing. You're doing amazing things for the industry, running multiple hospitality brands and having such a positive, major impact on the industry. So thank you for that. And again, thanks for having me on. St. Justine really is a fascinating a project I'm involved with. Very blessed to be able to be part of that event, of that project. It's really a luxury hospitality brand, but it's not your typical luxury hospitality brand. We actually think of it as ultra luxury hospitality. So taking things to a level that many brands have not dared to explore. So St. Justine is an experience like no other. I mean, you check into a St. Justine hotel or residence, you're going to get the kind of service you've never got anywhere else because people are going to be all over you. You know, the service is going to be incredible. And people who are well-trained, who are passionate, who are driven by the desire to serve and present the best version of themselves to their guests on a daily basis. So what's going to make St. Justine different from any other brand is really service. Service is going to be the big differentiator. Now, the brands, the properties are all going to be technology forward. We're going to incorporate technology into various aspects of the operation, but ultimately, technology is not going to take over the role that people will be required to play. Our people will be our biggest investment. Our people will be our biggest assets. And I always say that technology is very important, but great technology does not make great hotels. Great people make great hotels. And at times we have to remind ourselves of that because we focus so much on technology, which is a terrific thing, but we also cannot lose the human element. So really excited to be involved in St. Justine with some really great people that you and I know, people who are global hospitality leaders who are arguably the most respected, some of the most respected people in the industry, period, globally. People who've had a massive impact on the hospitality industry. Working with them in St. Justine is really an honor for me.
Well, it's I love the part that you're talking about the tech because I'm a big fan of technology and obviously also a big fan of people. But the way you guys are going about it, and from what I understand after talking to you, is that technology is to be there in order to let your team be great because your team is so great. They don't need to waste time on mundane tasks that could be automated, that could be taken care of by tech. And when you do that and you free up your team's ability to actually service each other and service the guests, that is the most cost efficient way you could ever run. And the fact I love the fact that you guys get to start from a clean slate. You get to not have to take over a brand that has a tired and burned out staff, has a tired and burned out building. You guys are really coming in with a fresh breath of air to the industry. Because that's why I was like, hey, we got to get you on a call today because it just it's new. And for everyone who's listening, I want to just read off quickly part of the press release that you had that really caught my eye. Was that St. Justine Residences will combine the uncompromising service and quality of the world's best hotels with the flexibility of vacation rentals, offering differentiated luxury for discerning travelers. And I think that's super smart. A lot of hotels and hoteliers in our industry, as you know, Dr. Jeffrey, is that they try to avoid and run away from short-term rentals and vacation rentals when really it's proven to be a powerful segment in our industry. And the fact that you guys are embracing that part is just super smart. It's the way the future is going. It's the way travelers are going, and you guys obviously saw that and just took it in, which I love.
So true, so true, Will. We actually will be starting off with the residences before the hotel. That's the plan. That's how much importance we place on short-term rentals, right? I call it provisional rentals, provisional lodging. That's what I like to call it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's critically important. Any hotel company that doesn't realize that, that's what the future, that's where the future lies, is really missing the point. I mean, that's where we need to be playing. And I think hotels need to be more flexible. They need to be able to work around the needs of the guests and really cater to them. And you know that very well because you are playing that field. Short-term rentals are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. So our first few properties actually will be the residences before the hotel comes in, because the hotel infrastructure development obviously is a bigger development, right? It's much bigger. Our first flagship property, like you mentioned, will be a $120 million development. And right now, we think that cost actually may be higher than that based on the location. You've got places like Miami that, that are really, really expensive, real estate markets. You've got New York, which is always expensive. You've got other markets as well. So we really are focused on short-term rentals and using the residences concept. But the way we're doing it obviously is different. We're not just having a space and having people come in and check themselves in through an app and stay there. We actually are going the distance. You're going to have all the amenities. You're going to have all the service touch points that you would find in a hotel in our residences. So you check into our residences, you're going to have all of that. The branding is going to be there. The service is going to be there. The staff is going to be there. So we're doing it in a slightly different way by keeping that element. We're not looking to just run it through an app. You check in through an app, you go in there, you stay, you check out through an app, you never meet anyone. Many folks are doing that. Nothing wrong with that at all. That offers a lot of cost savings, but we choose not to take that approach. We're sort of blending the best of hotels with the best of short-term rentals. So that's the concept behind St. Justine Hotels and Residences.
I love that. And it goes perfectly like me and Steve Turk, who you know as well. He and I were on Spotify Live this week, which is coming out tomorrow. So whoever's listening and watching, you can listen to that tomorrow. But the conversation goes is that when you have the app type like experience, that's great because some people may not want to be in a queue. They don't want to wait at a desk. They don't want to experience human interaction. They just want to get to their bed and shower and kind of unwind or refresh. But then there's other travelers, probably you and myself are in this boat, where I like the front desk at most places where it's like I want to ask questions about the property, just because front desk agent at heart, at always, right? I always be that Marriott front desk agent that says my pleasure, welcome to this property, like always like that. But you're allowing them to choose how they want to experience you, and being available, and that consistency is really important as you stated. So I'm just a big fan of that in general. But I do have one question going to you for the story of the name, because St. Justine is something I've never heard of until you told me about it. So I would love if you could just share with the audience, what's the story behind the name.
I would love to do that. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. St. Justine is a name that we settled on because of what it embodies, what it represents. St. Justine was a young virgin lady, beautiful, incredibly beautiful young lady, was a virgin who had strong beliefs, who had strong faith, who had strong beliefs. And the Roman prefect at the time that she was alive wanted her to renounce her religion. And this was in the early days of Christianity, and I wanted her to renounce her religion, and she held on to her faith. She refused to, and she knew what the ultimate price would be, and she was warned that if she did not renounce her faith, she was going to be executed. She knew what price she had to pay, but she stood her ground and would not back down, and ultimately was beheaded. So the story of St. Justine is a portrait of consistency, of someone who holds on, even when the winds are blowing you in every direction, even when you're under pressure, even when you know that things may not go well for you. She remained steadfast, and ultimately she paid the price. The reason we chose the name St. Justine is because we've got a lot of hotels out there that are beautiful properties, absolutely beautiful. But when it comes to service, they're not consistent. There's no consistency in delivering service excellence. So we want a brand that represents not only beautiful spaces, but also consistent service. And that's the origin of St. Justine.
I love that. That's the biggest thing. I think we've talked about it on multiple podcasts and multiple conversations outside of podcasts that, COVID-19 was the time, and is, in my opinion, still the time of where, I've stayed at W hotels. I've stayed at other brands that I'm very I can almost run the hotel if I were to go back to working there. I'm that familiar with the brand standards, what's supposed to happen, and what am I supposed to experience as a gold member with Marriott or whatever the membership tier. And I've realized that, not realized, I just have experienced that it's the most inconsistent thing to experience as a traveler during COVID, because now, yes, you're under a big brand, but every individually owned property or franchise is lacking because of obvious reasons, staff and amenities and all the other stuff. And it was just it's sad to see inconsistency in a brand that you love. And so to see that you guys are really focusing on that, and like I said, you have a clean slate as a new brand to really come in and bring a breath of fresh air for everybody. So before we wrap everything up, can you just go into who's your Avengers that you've assembled for either the board and just the overall brand and team that you guys are building?
We've got a board that I would say arguably is the most distinguished board in the world of global hospitality. And I don't think too many people will argue with that. You've got Mr. Horst Shusey, who's the co-founder and former president of the Ritz-Carlton hotel brand, hotel company, who came up with the famous lines, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. So
I love that.
Just an incredibly humble human being, just brilliant, and who's done just great things for our industry. You've got, Philip Boyan, who's the former CEO of Forbes Travel Guide. Of course, we know what Forbes Travel Guide does in terms of standards, for the industry. You've got Letitia Proctor, who's the senior vice president at Donahue Hospitality. You've got Andrea Belfanti, who's the CEO of the International Society of Hospitality Consultants. And you've got Francis Kirajan, who founded the Boutique Lifestyle Leaders Association, who's been doing incredible things for many years. So all of those people are easily on anyone's list of the top, 20, top 10 people or 15 people working in global hospitality. Highly, highly accomplished people who've done remarkable things. It's an honor to get to work with them. And what I love about all of them is that they're all incredibly humble, looking to see our industry continue to do great things. We love the industry that we're involved in. It's beautiful to be involved in it. We're very passionate about it. And these are people who are not only humble, but incredibly passionate about the industry, and they want to continue to serve the industry. And that's what attracted me to them. Very, very honored to be working with them.
I love it. Big names, and don't forget yourself on that list. We got Dr. Jeffrey.
You're very kind. You're very kind, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Of course, it's true. It's an incredible lineup of people who definitely made a big name and a big splash in the industry. So as a younger generation looking up, it's always great to see, the best of the best that are able to form alliance and commonality of, this is where we want to drive. We're not done yet in our industry. So very exciting. And last question, I guess, before we wrap everything up, where do you guys plan to be in? What markets are you guys heading for once the ground breaks and the doors open?
Top destination markets globally. So you're looking at places like St. Thomas, which is the U.S. Virgin Islands, looking at that. Miami, obviously, New York, San Francisco, Milan, places like that. I've got a high, traveler footprint, that's really strong traveler footprint. So we're looking at markets like that, really markets that are high barrier to entry, because we know that the cost per key to develop a St. Justine easily, in some of these markets, you're going to be topping $1 million for some of these markets. So high barrier to entry markets that people cannot easily, go into, sort of have certain restrictions in terms of, people being able to build. And so we want such markets because we think that's that's the place to be. Saint Justine is not a brand for everyone. We get that. Not everyone is going to be willing to pay a certain amount of money for a hotel room or for a residences. But we know that people who are discerning, people who are truly looking for a certain level of service are willing to pay a premium for that. They understand they have to pay a premium for that. If you're going to be paying $2,000-$3,000 to stay in a facility, you may not be entirely satisfied with just being checked in through an app and checked out through an app. You want to see someone smile at you and help you with your luggage and say to you, how's your stay going? How can I assist you? Can I take dinner reservations, book dinner reservations for you? Can I arrange your own masseuse for you? Can I get, you a private chef who's going to prepare what you want to have? You want your own personal fitness trainer. You want a concierge, a butler that's assigned to you. If you're paying that kind of money, you certainly expect a certain level of service. Some people are going to pay, and some people may not be interested. So, but ultimately, that's the brand that's St. Justine. That's what it is.
I love it. It's I see a lot of brands that just don't know who they want to serve, and I think that's a big question that gets asked in the vacation rental industry is who's your avatar is what they say, right? So how do you distinguish the lifestyle they live, the type of career they have, the type of family, the type of travel experiences, all this type of stuff, right? And I've seen a lot of brands not understand that portion of the brand building. So it's really cool that you guys the market, the experience you're going to deliver, and it's not for everybody, which is totally okay. But consider me a future guest because that's the type of service I like.
Looking forward.
I love it. Well, Dr. Jeffrey,
forward.
is there any place that anyone who's listening or watching right now that they can go to check out and learn more about St. Justine for the future?
Absolutely. The website is www.stjustinehotels.com, and you can get all the information about the brand on that website.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here first, everyone who is in the Slick Talk community. You can go ahead, check out that website. I will make sure to put everything in the show notes or the social media posts, whichever direction we're going to be at. But thank you so much, Dr. Jeffrey, again, for joining me on today's episode. And I appreciate all that you guys are doing and wish you best of luck.
Thank you. We're always good to see you. Thank you for your work. I doff my hat to you for all that you're doing for the industry. You've done remarkable things that, as a young leader, in the industry, and just keep pushing forward. You inspire me. I'm a big fan of your work, and please don't stop.
Let's keep going. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to our show partners for making Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, possible. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we would love to connect with you outside of the podcast. So you can follow us on all of our social media channels for daily hospitality content, or find us on slicktalkthepodcast.com. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm your host, Will Slickers, and we will see you guys all again next week.